Spider-Man!
No Way Home.
No Way Home. What's up, Cinema Peeps?
Hello! We're just gonna jump on here because we want to talk about Spider-Man.
Yeah, we're just itching to talk about it because, oh my god, it's the crossover of the century, the movie of the year.
Already getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, okay.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, we were trying to, we were basically dancing around it, but we just, like, really wanted to talk about it. But we're like, you know, the and the
Yep.
We just didn't want to. But now, we're ready. We're just gonna record, and we're just
ready
gonna
to unleash it all.
Alright, well, I guess you go first.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, I mean, I think it lived up to my expectations. Not that I really, like, I didn't know what to expect. All I knew is that, like, everybody from the moment they announced, you know, that we were gonna see some potential villains from other universes coming in, everybody was like, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have to make an appearance in this movie! And part of me was like, I want to see this, but at the same time, I'm like, I'll laugh if it's not because everybody's hyped it up so much too.
Yeah.
But in the end, I was very happy, and I didn't know how they were gonna, like, introduce them in, but I'm glad that they did, and I like how they did it.
I mean, yeah, I was generally surprised that they had a much bigger role than I was anticipating.
Yeah.
Which is great. Don't get me wrong. Fantastic.
Yes.
But I knew the second Ned opened that portal, I'm like, oh, I think that's him. Spider-Man!
And you're like, yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't know who it is, but I was like, oh, it's... And yes, as we were discussing, everyone in the theater, like, applauded.
Yep.
Like, what's the word? I don't know if there's a word for it, but it's just like that's, like, the reason you go see movies.
Right? Yes. I mean, if you live under a rock and you don't know, or maybe you're just not a fan of the Marvel movies, but let's just say, to sum everything up, Spider-Man No Way Home is the third installment of the 3 movies about Tom Holland's Spider-Man for the Marvel Universe. And in this one, it is revealed that everybody knows who... I'm getting ahead of myself again. At the end of the second movie, they revealed that his identity as Spider-Man, he is Peter Parker, so the entire world knows his identity, and he's like, oh crap! And so the premise of this movie is that he's trying to, or he wishes that he could go back in time and have everybody forget that he is Spider-Man, so he could just continue living a normal life, not have to deal with all the craziness that's going on. So he goes to Doctor Strange. He asks Doctor Strange to cast a spell and make everybody forget his identity. And in doing so, he starts to have some requirements along with that too. So he's like, but I want my girlfriend to remember, and I want my aunt to remember, and I need my best friend to remember who I am. And, you know, things happen, and the spell ends up getting a little wonky, and it breaks the universe, and all these other multiverses start to collide in with their universe. Hence, we have some notable characters from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies and the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies.
Yes. Because,
including both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Right? I mean, they tried real hard to keep that a secret, but, like...
Oh, it's hard. It's so hard.
Bruh. Especially because I think we even talked about before, there was the scene where he's swinging into battle, and everyone was like, oh, you could have easily had 2 other Spider-Men in that shot, and surprise, yes, they are both there.
Well, and was it you or somebody was telling me that, like, Tom Holland, they were watching, like, a reaction of him looking at the trailer, and he goes, oh, wait, but where's the... And then he had to stop himself because he was about to, like, reveal something, and so everybody was like, oh!
Right? That silly Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Always be spoiling.
Always be spoiling.
But, I mean... Yeah, like, yeah, again, I was nervous, like, 'cause I don't know if it's like, going to be a cameo, but, like, they obviously had a much bigger role, which I really appreciated.
Yes.
They also, like, had some good meme fun. They did the whole, like, this guy, this, like, in their own kind of way. Like, the Spider-Man meme where it's like, but you're Spider, I'm Spider, who's you?
Yeah.
Like, that was great. They just had so much heart. There were so many, like, little scenes, too, and, like, little things where it was, like, when he was fighting Electro for the first time and Sandman comes and he goes, oh, hey, Peter, I can help, you know? And I was like, aww.
Oh, yeah, there was so much heart in it.
Right?
Yeah. I was just thinking to myself, too, I'm like, 2 things. One, it would be insane because, like, obviously with social media and stuff nowadays, that's how kind of everybody's was on the whole predicting who was going to be in the movie train. But could you imagine, like, if this movie came out before social media was a thing and just the shock level of that? But then at the same time too, part of me's like, how cool would it be to just like go back in time, like just a few years before this movie comes out, and just like to tell either yourself or your friends around you to be like, there's going to be a Spider-Man movie that comes out that has all 3 Spider-Man in it. Prepare yourself. Like,
it's gonna be crazy,
right?
But I mean, also Into the Spider-Verse does that too. But still, like, this was great. What was my thought? I don't know about you, but I think this is my favorite Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. But I'm not a fan of the ending.
No?
No. So here, let me explain why, though.
Okay.
So, again, because the spell's wrong, Peter makes the grand gesture of being like, hey, do the spell properly, have everyone forget who I am. Which leads to, I think, the most heart-wrenching moment, for me personally, when he's standing at his aunt's grave. Spoiler, she dead.
Yep.
And Happy comes by, and you kind of, like, immediately want him to comfort him, because that's kind of, like, you know, Happy's, like, always there for you.
I was waiting for him to be like, nah, I'm just kidding, I know who you are.
Well, then when he says the line, like, oh, how did you know the deceased? I was like, right, like, even though I knew, like, I still want him to comfort Peter.
Right, yeah.
You know, and it ends with Peter kind of being alone. When I thought was weird, because especially there's that scene between Toby and Andrew where Toby goes, hey, like, don't give up. You know, like, you're going to find that someone, you know, and you're going to make it work kind of deal. And so, again, with the movie's theme of being, like, you know, working together and being a team. And I mean, to be fair, straight out the gate, you know, Tom Holland had Ned. You know, like, he was kind of building his team with Mary Jane. So to kind of have that all stripped away, I wasn't a fan of, especially because then it kind of goes back to this weird narrative. And again, I could be totally wrong on this, but I feel like, especially I remember watching early cartoons of any superhero show, it was always like, oh, you have to do this alone, blah, 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 blah. You can't have anyone know your identity, blah, blah, blah. You have to be, like, this lone wolf kind of thing. Which, I mean, initially drew me into, like, Batman, because I'm like, yeah, I'm a lone wolf, too. I'm so cool.
Right.
You know? And again, I know the CW wasn't the first one to do this, but again, just thinking of, again, we were just talking about, like, you know, Arrow and Flash and how, you know, it was no longer about, I mean, it's still about them, but it's also about their team.
Right.
And realizing, like, you shouldn't have to do these things alone. Like, you can be a god, but you still need a team. Again, the Avengers and stuff like that. So to me, to have that stripped away from him left me feeling really weird about the ending.
Yeah.
About how now he's alone.
Yeah.
And now he's choosing to be alone.
Yeah. Hopefully, I wonder, because you obviously said they're at least going to be making one more, if not more, Spider-Man films. So hopefully they'll kind of, like, lead more into that, pardon me. But I don't know, I kind of, part of me, I liked it for the fact that I feel like he almost in some ways was kind of like I said before, he was doing the whole, what would Tony do in this instance? So it's kind of like he's following in Tony Stark's, you know, footprints, being like, because when you think about it too, like the only way he could send these guys back to their Earth was if Doctor Strange released the spell, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. Maybe I'm missing information there.
Yeah, he had to release the spell, but do it properly. He had to take away all the conditions. But
exactly. Yeah. So that I can see, because that, to me, that reminds me, just, you know, as a comparison trait, reminds me something Barry Allen would do, like our Barry Allen from the CW Flash. He, you know, he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, and in order to save the rest of the world, he's going to sacrifice something about himself, if not himself, for the sake, you know, for the sake of everybody else, kind of thing, right? So I think that's kind of an admirable trait about him, and I liked that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see where it goes through. Yeah. And I also kind of liked, because I part of me was like, I have a feeling Aunt May is going to die. I have this sense it's going to happen. Yes.
Oh,
and
so, I didn't see that coming.
Well, just near the bits there where it was like it started to get really intense, I was like, something's happening. I can feel it. Something's happening. And I like that also as well, because I feel like his Spider-Man movies have been really, really good. Like, I wasn't too sure at first, but I've grown to really appreciate his Spider-Man movies, and they've been so kind of upbeat and jolly and, like, goofy that they didn't really have that seriousness. Like, when you think about like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, the most iconic thing was like Uncle Ben's death.
Yes.
And then same thing with, like, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was Gwen Stacy's death. So, like, Tom Holland we haven't seen him go through that, like, dark moment yet. So I feel like this is his dark moment. And then who knows what's going to happen after this, right?
Right. But again, you know, and then he has the moment with Toby where he's like, hey, don't do it. Like, you're not going to find any solace in doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? So again, that's why I found it weird that, like, the message of the film was like, hey, you shouldn't have to tackle this alone. To have him end up being alone.
Right.
Again, it's a little muddy, but
unless
like,
that's just
I won't ding
the
it.
curse of Spider-Man, I guess, maybe, like, because they all respectively went through their own version of it, so it's kind of like he just has to now endure this in order to grow as a hero or whatever. I don't know.
I guess, like I said, it didn't ruin the experience for me by any means. I just found it very odd. But again, I won't spoil this, but like if you do watch it, there's 2 end credit scenes. Watch both.
Yes.
So, but I do wonder if this is going to play into the next movie, Doctor Strange and the Madness of the Multiverse. Potentially.
Maybe.
But we shall have to see. Although, maybe a little fucking weird. So, the scene where he comes back to the diner and talks to Mary Jane and Ned again, when she kind of like waves and he thinks, oh, she remembers me, but it's Ned who's behind him.
Yeah.
I really wanted them to mac out. Is that weird? I just want them to make out in front of Peter Parker. Am I weird? The entire time I was like, oh, they should totally just make out in front of Peter.
Been like, awkward.
Right? Like, I think it only, like, you know, blooped their minds for like a day, I guess.
Yeah.
But like.
But it was kind of neat too to see just like, almost in a way, their part. Bless you.
Thank you.
Their characters almost changed a little bit, having not known Peter, like having forgotten who he is. It's kind of neat how like you could kind of sense that in both of them. Right. I will say too, I really liked the dynamic between Peter Parker and Doctor Strange. I thought that was really well done together. It was good.
I mean, I liked all the villains.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I liked how they were okay and open to like tease each other.
Yeah.
And be like, you know, so you want to turn people into lizards? Yes, that's right. You know, so they always had like these fun moments where they're even poking fun at because technically Sony produced all those Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
You know, so being able to poke fun at themselves was really great. Again, the meme potential was fantastic.
Yes. Oh yes.
I mean, it was hard not to enjoy it.
Right? Some parts, I just caught myself feeling so, like, it felt so otherworldly to just be like, I'm literally witnessing 3 different Spider-Men working together in, like, how many people in their lifetime can, like, you can imagine, like, our parents even, or just, like, anybody whose generation is, like, prior to ours, who've only dreamed of seeing, like, things like that happen, right?
Right.
And it's just insane to be able to. Yeah, it's just even like with watching the Flash and Arrow and all like the multiverse crossover stuff that they do on the CW, or the Arrowverse crossovers that they do on the CW. It's just like crazy that we can do that now. Like it's awesome.
Right. It's like I said, there's not too much I didn't not enjoy from that movie. Like it was fun. I think hands down my favorite scene was when they contact the other 2 Spider-Men and they're in Ned's kitchen and then he's like, oh, my mom's just wondering if you can get that cobweb in the corner. The entire scene was great.
Right? And she's like, you need to prove it. And he's like, no, I don't. Yeah, you need to prove it. And she keeps throwing buns at him.
It's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Do you have the tingle thing? Yes, I have the tingle thing.
I have the tingle thing, yeah.
Like, and then he's like, can you please clean up your cobwebs? I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm going to bed.
I also really like the part when they're on the scaffolding and they're all kind of talking about like what the things they've like seen and done throughout their lives, and Andrew Garfield's just like, yeah, I'm pretty lame in comparison to you guys. You've been to space, you fought aliens. And Toby's like, no, you need to stop this negative self-talk thing. You're amazing.
Thanks, man.
I love that.
Right. And again, thinking of the meme thing where, you know, they're talking about, oh, we have to make our spider cartridges, and he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, it comes out of me. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
I think, somebody wrote it. They were like, there has to be that scene. And I mean, like, they did.
They did. They did it awesome, yeah.
Right? Like, it is a love letter to Spider-Man. It's a love letter to fans. Because even, like, in the theater, like, watching people's reaction, being like, oh,
yeah.
Like, it was just, it was so good.
Right? And like I was saying to you earlier, I feel like if Stan Lee was alive right now, he'd be so overjoyed and just like mind blown because Spider-Man's his baby. Like that's the first thing he ever made, and like it holds a special place in his heart. So I feel like to see all of that would just be like, oh, he'd be over the moon.
Right? It would just be wonderful.
Yeah.
I guess that was the other thing. I was like, oh yeah, no Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah.
This would have been the time. Although, what's my other thought? Although, speaking of his aunt dying in this movie, it was sad, but I'm gonna be real honest. I didn't find it that sad. Is there something wrong with me? Am I just a cold human being? Like, but like, oh, you haven't played it yet, I don't think.
The Spider-Man games?
Yeah. So the one for the PS4 that I'm thinking of, I wept like a baby.
Really?
There's because in that one, Aunt May also dies in that one. But like, I don't know, something about it just makes me cry every time. I think it's because there's this whole thing where, to kind of very lightly sum it up, basically the villain of that game is Doc Ock, and he releases this thing called the Devil's Breath, which unfortunately has a lot of parallels to, like, you know, the Panorama and stuff like that, but basically you get infected and you die. And unfortunately, Aunt May, who works at Feast and is trying to help people, she ends up getting infected. And so Peter has to make this choice of either saving his aunt or saving everybody else. So it's him making that hard choice of, like, he knows he has to be a hero, but he's losing, like, you know, his support system.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and then there's a scene where she's like, oh, take off the mask. I know it's you, Peter. And I was like, oh my God. And she says, like, how proud. And I was like, oh, I'm even, like, tearing up thinking of it. Like, I wept like a baby. And I played that game, like, campaign twice. You would think the second time, because I knew it was coming, I would just... But no, I still wept like a child.
Oh boy. Well, yeah. But even too, like, I just you talking about that, I was just thinking, like, I feel like we got more of a humorous side of Aunt May in this version of her.
Yeah.
And we didn't really, not that there weren't, but we didn't see as much of that, like, not supportive, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, when I think back at some of the other ones, like, Aunt May was a real prominent, like, like you said, support system for Peter. There was a lot of, like, heart-to-heart scenes that we saw him with, and we saw more, like, humorous scenes with this Aunt May and him, and then there was that whole thing with Happy, so there wasn't, he didn't really have that.
That was also, like, so weird at the beginning. Sorry to do it. That was, like, a weird beginning. Oh, we had sex, but, like, you know. Yeah. It's not a big deal. And then I was like, this is really, like, is this weird? Like,
right?
This makes me feel weird. That's
the other thing I was gonna say too. I like to, and obviously I think they kind of had to maybe do it because obviously Tom Holland's a little bit older, and he definitely looked a lot more buff in this version, or in this installment. But I feel like they really, like, matured him a lot for this one too. Like, this movie felt just a little bit more mature than the other two movies. He felt more like squeaky high school Peter Parker, kind of like awkwardly going through life and figuring shit out, whereas this one he kind of felt like a little more mature, a little more like he graduated into, like, becoming a hero kind of thing. But then again, his whole identity was revealed to the world, so he kind of had no choice.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely this Aunt May was more, you know, goofy. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
But I mean, again, the whole theme of the movie is that she was trying to say, hey, Peter, like, if people need help, like, you need to at least try to help them. Yeah. Which, again, you could argue that's how they got in the position in the first place, is like, why would you help villains? That's just silly. Yeah. But again, thinking back to the games, like, that's who Peter Parker is. Yeah. And again, I guess in turn who Spider-Man is, where he just wants to help people. Yeah. Like, there's this whole, again, thinking of the games, there's this campaign that you can unlock called the Black Cat Heist game. Or not game, but, like, DLC, where one of the side missions is that you're helping this police officer collect this fake art. And, like, I could tell, like, right out the get-go, I was like, Peter, this guy is using you. But, again, he's talking about the story how he wants to fix a broken relationship with his daughter, a.k.a. Black Cat, who is also kind of like an anti-hero villain type deal. But Peter, like, is just trying to give advice and be honest and be like, hey, like, you can change, like, hey, man, like, there's no, like, you can reach out, and, like he just wants to help. So that it's kind of funny at the end where it's like, I totally saw this coming, where he's like, well, thank you collecting all my art. Like, I'm gonna go. But, you know, I I really actually appreciate, like, you know, I didn't expect this to happen. Like, I thank you, Peter. And he's like, wait, what? All the art gets stolen again. And Peter's like, why do I fall for this?
Oh, yeah.
But, like, that's a big part of him. He has this big heart, and he wants to help and be helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So, again, like, having the theme in this movie being like, hey, like, I can help these. Like, I don't want to send them to their death. I want to be able to, if I can help them in any way that he can. So it does mirror, like, Peter's greatest strength / weakness is that he wants to help. So
yeah, I think that's why I really like. I mean, I've always really liked Spider-Man the most out of all the Marvel heroes. But even just like this version as well, I'm just thinking like he has a lot of similarities to Barry Allen in like our CW Flash, where he's just like, you know, he wants to help. He's the paragon of love. Like he wants to be that force that gives people a second chance before, like, you know, just like throwing them to the wayside or destroying them or getting rid of them for good kind of thing. And I think Stan Lee even mentioned it at one of the Comic-Cons that we went to too. Like he's like, I created Spider-Man to be the hero that you can see yourself in. Yeah. Like, and that's what's so relatable about him and so likable about him, is that he's just an average guy in a suit, and you can kind of relate to his struggles and the things he goes through and stuff. And I think that's why I like the Flash, and that's why I like the Spider-Man too.
Yeah, and again, I think speaking of like Comic-Cons, I remember that was a big deal making Spider-Man a teenager. Yeah. You know, because it's like, oh, at the time they were all well adults, but it's like, no, like this is going to be about a young kid and all his struggles. But again, like, yeah, like you can relate to. Yeah. Which is why I like Smallville too at the same time. Yeah, because it's the struggles of young Superman, so yeah. Yeah, Superman's too squeaky clean for me. He's too Boy Scout. You need a Batman. Batman. Yeah. But yeah, I would say if you have not had the opportunity, I mean, I think from both of us, recommendation if you can. After the craziness that's been going on this year, like, if you just need a good, fun movie to see that's got really no other, like, underlying intentions behind it, other than Free Guy, I'd say you need to see this movie. Everybody needs to check it out. It's just so much fun. It's been a while since anybody's been able to go have this much fun in the theater, I think, so. Yeah, like I said, like, there were so many moments where it's like, yeah, this is why you go see movies in the theater. Exactly, yeah, totally. That Tom Holler. But again, as we encourage you to go see the theaters, please be kind to all the employees. Yes. Be kind to everyone while you're there. Yes. Coming from a former movie theater employee. It's going to be busy. So just be patient, be kind. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it for our quick review of Spider-Man. Heck yeah. This will be going up later in the year, as you can tell. But yeah, we just had to talk about it right now. Yes. Just because we were both itching to do it. Yes. But, yeah, I hope you have a happy Tuesday, and remember to like and subscribe. If you like us just doing single movie reviews and just talking about one singular movie, let us know in the comments, because I mean, we'd be down. Hell yeah. We just have one focal topic for the episode. I know we try to make it loosey-goosey. Yeah, we try to keep a variety. Right? But if you want a more focused review, I mean, let us know. Yeah, let us know. And if you did see Spider-Man No Way Home, leave your thoughts in the comments as well so we can check it out. But anyways, have a happy Tuesday. Watch all the content, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Monkey. And slow.